Good afternoon and welcome back to the POLITY. Like I said before the break, we will be delving into the issue of Nigeria's independence. We are days away from Nigeria's 63rd independence. It is the anniversary of October 1st, 1960, when we first gained independence from the British colonial masters at the time. We'll be taking a look at our progress so far and also recent events. President Bola Tinubu is currently our president, and he is, according to his agenda, working on getting Nigeria back on track. We'll be taking a look at how well he has done in that regard, being the president who gets to preside over this time in our history. We know that on October 1st, Sunday, the president will be at Eagle Square to commemorate the event. We'll be taking a look at what we've achieved so far and also in his current administration. I've been joined now in the studio by human rights activist and a statesman, Chief Patrick Eholo. He joins me now to do some justice to the matter. Good afternoon and welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, buddy.
It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.
Appreciate you.
All
and
right.
Thank you, viewers.
All right. So let's start with how we've where we've come so far. A lot of people like to say that relatively Nigeria is young, but then 63. What do you make of that number? How or where do you think we should be at this moment?
Well, I think I disagree with those who think that Nigeria is still young, but I could say Nigeria is still evolving. But sometimes it's unimaginable that Nigeria might, be in the Guinness Book of Record as a country that has failed at 63. Because the dividends of democracy has not really affected us as a citizen. There was some article I wrote about 5 weeks ago. It was a little bit controversial. I said, I'm a Democrat. There's no way I will ever solicit or advocate for the military when the military junta in the African countries were becoming very rampant. People were asking questions, why Africa? Why is the military taking over? And then I did write a piece, and I wrote a piece about Nigeria because I know about Nigeria, right? And I said that what we enjoy today as infrastructure, they were done by the military. Military were those people we thought that they are undemocratic, they use excessive force, and then when the military give it to us as civilians, we couldn't manage it. All right? Yeah, I can tell you categorically about my state, for example, Edo State. We have the UBTH there. UBTH was built by the military, for example. We have the Palm House, we call it a Sapler Road, also built by them. We have the Third Mainland Bridge. I can mention so many things. We have the night and other. The things that the civilian government privatized, that they have to use what they call, I believe it's PPP, right? As a joint venture. Yeah. Didn't do us any favor. But what you have here is that those who are supposed to represent us are representing themselves. Things are a little bit different from here. I've always makes some arguments when it comes to balance situation. That in America, I know some of my friends who are in Congress, they sleep in their office. They still have not fully settled. So they leave their office and go back to their state of origin or to their community to meet their family. Also, you unite with those their representatives. I think democracy has really not done us any good, but I think we are still evolving. I hope we can do better because the kind of money we are spending, to manage those people supposedly to represent us, I think the reward is not coming from them because you can imagine the last time when they were talking about palliatives, they were talking about giving each and every one of us 8,000. And you will know that even before I got to your studio, I came here with the boats. I paid close to 8,000. And besides that, if you're going to eat a better meal, better lunch, 8,000 can't even do it for you. I think we are it's a retrogression for us. It's not a progression. And sometimes I also make example with I also make example with a country like Rwanda, where you have a benevolent dictator, right? And I think they do better than us, who claim that we are practicing democracy, because it has never helped us and it's not helping us. And I also think that we are spending so much money. We can reduce the expense on the government. We can even make them part-time.
What do you make of the argument that they make that governance is costly because politics is costly?
No, it's not true. Politics is not that expensive.
You know, some of them are actually, some of the candidates, some who didn't win, they are blaming the electorate for inflating things. They say that when they come and they want to campaign and they want to say, this is what I want to bring for you, this is what I want to do for you, the people say, what did you bring for us in terms of cash or money? And they say they always have to spend, otherwise they won't be listening. But so they are blaming the electorate.
No, they cannot. No, they cannot. Who is forcing them to spend? They are coming as a businessman. They are not coming as people who is coming to represent our interests. And again, it shouldn't be something that we are going to take for granted. Politics is giving back to your society, rewarding them, all right? Trying to defend issues that you feel that the government are not representing the citizen well. For example, when you talk about the cost of petrol, and then you feel that it's too expensive, and you feel that the current government is not doing justice to it, then if you are 18 years, you say, okay, you know what, this government doesn't really know my plight, my pain. I'm going to be a card-carrying member of a political party so that I can really vote them out or vote them in. That's what it's supposed to be, all right? And besides that, Amadi, you can also come out, you want to be a governor. You don't need to have money, Amadi, to be a governor, because you already have your name. We've seen you on TV. We've seen that you're an upright guy. You reach out to your friends who were in school together. We do what they call fundraising for you. They also have to be a cap of what we can contribute. So it doesn't turn to he who pays the piper determines the tone of it, right? And when you do that, and you know that you're not spending your money, it's not an investment, you will respect the right and the will of people and do what you're supposed to do. But when you now make it very bogus that somebody has to get a ticket from APC for 100 million to contest presidency, it means that you have narrowed it for the rich players alone to do it.
So the parties have a blame here?
Yeah, the parties has a lot of blame, all right, but it shouldn't be pushed to the electorate, because the electorates are saying that we've not eaten 3 square meal, we can't even travel to the polling station because we have no money to get there. So what do you have for us? How do we get there? And that's why, or where the poverty tells in them. Whereas, if you were in a country that respect the right of a citizen, that know the meaning of welfare. For example, again, I said, I am a Canadian, right? We know what is welfare. If you are not working or you are unemployed, the government give you welfare to sustain you. The government pay your school fees, right? And then if you're also working, you become unemployed, what you have saved, the government also pay you about 60% of what was your salary before you regain back, more gainful employment that will make you happy. Or you go back to school, then the government also have finance by giving you what they call OSAP to continue education to PhD. So therefore, nobody can really buy into your conscience or buy your vote, because the government is there to take care of you. And this is what is enshrined in our constitution, that the government will take care of the welfare of the people. The government will protect life and property. And these things completely disappear for governors in Nigeria. Government don't protect us again. They don't know if we have life or if we have property. Because if you look at the northern area, you hear about 300 people have been displaced. 400 people have died, just like that. And everybody just get what they call a mass burial. Like, when I was growing up, if 1 or 2 people died, you mourn them, you feel it, you ask questions. But now people just bury people, on a mass grave. and then you say you have government. I don't know what, and if that's the kind of government we think we should have at the age of 63.
Well, those are words to dwell on and consider ahead of the D-Day. But what would you say you are looking forward to? If Nigeria was a man, a human, and at this age, I guess you'll be expecting they probably already have grandchildren, you know, they're now living, reaping the fruits of their labor, so to speak. But then countries are different from people. We have our current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What would you say are the things that can begin to be resolved, sort of like low-hanging fruits? Because we know that democracy is a long walk, and we know countries like America are perhaps 3 times or 4 times as old as Nigeria, so they are far ahead in terms of age. But that aside, what are the things that you think that are little that we can quickly achieve to give some sense of hope to everyone that we're on the right path?
The little things that we can achieve to give sense that we're on the right path are very little, but it seems very difficult for the government to do. But it's not difficult. First, Nigeria has to respect the dignity of its citizens. Second, Nigeria must respect women and know that women has a role to play in our society. We have tried men over the years, and most of the men had failed us. It's just about grabbing. I still think that women still fear God and they still have conscience, and women can deliver. They need to let women participate in our politics, right? And Nigeria needs to carry along the SME, I mean the small, medium-scale businesses, right? And Nigeria needs to work with this in collaborations with most of these microfinance or most of these new generation banks. And Nigeria also needs to reduce the rates of borrowing. All right? They should recognize that, because without the medium-scale business, no country will survive, because they are the ones that hold your economy, right? Nigeria needs to encourage, you ask me, I'm trying to tell you, there's a lot. Nigeria needs to encourage the new generation banks. The central bank has to invest money on what you call the credit bureau system, the ECOFAS, whereby the people who borrowed money will be known to the public, right? As you have what you call the BVN, that cannot allow anyone to have accounts that is not verifiable, because with your BVN you can't do the things you used to do 10 years ago, right? And then they need to have what you call a social security that can identify each and individual. Nigeria is the only country who doesn't register bets, who doesn't register debts. Nigeria is the only country who doesn't do census, who just speculate we're over 200-something million. Who does that in this jet age? Nobody does that. So if Nigeria want to get it right and they want to alleviate poverty, they must carry the very poor along. They must allow the poor people to breathe, according to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If the poor are not breathing, I'm afraid we're going to have a lot of problems. As we speak now, students cannot access loan. They cannot have OSAF. We have the numbers. Nigeria need to invest more in education sector, because otherwise Nigeria become a big blind country. Because in a country where you don't invest in education, infrastructure, and your health sector, you are in serious trouble. Because the average life span of Nigeria now is between 27 to 55. Before now, even now, people can still age gracefully to 90 years, to 95. I just returned back from China. I still see 84 years old working, going to the farm. Some still want to go to the factory and work, not because they need the money, but because they want to be active. So Nigeria must recognize they are the very poor among us and carry everybody along, even without the benefit of your traditional, university, because Nigeria also emphasized too much on credentials. And that's why you see most Nigeria forge and fake their certificates. So we have a lot of things that we need to re-extray as a country.
All right, that's very fair. I'm glad we put some historical perspective. We started from the beginning and moved to our current state. So we'll go on a quick break now so we can delve into the other aspects. If you don't mind, we'll be joined by another guest.
Oh, wonderful. That'd be nice.
All right. So we'll go on a short break now. And when we return, we'll delve further into the state of the nation and Nigeria's democracy and independence up to today and the current state of things on how we can get to where we truly want to be. Stay with us. We'll be right back.